Up until now, we've been using functions, and functions are no more than predetermined mathematical instructions which were coded by the creators of the spreadsheet. The ones we've used is sum, and we've used average. But if you want a lot more flexibility, then you're going to have to create your own formulas. And to do this, we're going to have to use the basic arithmetic operations. And by that I mean plus, minus, multiply, and divide. Now you might notice that there isn't any of those traditional symbols, those operational symbols, except for the plus. And so on the keyboard then we need to identify where those operation keys are. So yes, you can find the plus sign, which is basically, let's put one in. So there's our plus. For your minus, we're going to have to use a hyphen. For divide, we are going to use the // and for the multiplication, we're going to use an asterisk. So get the hang of that, because we're going to create our formulas using these symbols. Right, so let's now actually create our formula. So choose the cell where you want the answer to appear, and we always start our formulas with an equal sign, and then we can say what combination of operations are required. Now in this case we want to create increase our oral so that it is out of 50. We're going to give it equal status to the other two tests. And so what we would do here is we would say we would like E4, the cell E4, to be multiplied by 5 to make it out of 50. And then we would like it to be, that answer must be added to the value that is in D4. And we would also like it to be added to the value that is in C4. So what we're doing here then is we're first of all increasing the oral mark to be out of 50, and then we're adding them all together. And in this case, it comes to 73. But let's have one more look at that formula, and you can see what happens is we're using our BOMDAS, brackets, order, multiplication and division, and then addition and subtraction, which is a mnemonic for the arithmetic order of operations. And so therefore, if we're going to do multiplication, we want that done first, and that's why it's in its own set of brackets. Now that we've created our first formula, just as before, we don't have to now retype all that for each of the different cells. We can click the little square in the bottom right hand corner of the cell, and then we can drag it over those cells where we would like the formula to be copied. And in this case, if we have a look at one, for example, it's moved from 4, the row 4, to 5, and the next one you can see they're all 6s and all 7s and so on. So it has adapted the formula to work for each of the different rows. So let's have another go then. So at the moment this is, say, a term mark out of 150, which is not particularly useful. So let's try and turn it into a percentage, and so we're going to create a new formula. So here I'm going to go equals, that means we're going to starting a formula. I'm going to put in this case it is F4. And to create it out of a percentage, what we're going to do is we're going to divide by 150, and we're going to multiply by 100. So we're basically turning it to a value out of 100. And now I can go enter, and I can see then that 73 is actually just under 50%. So it's 48.66667, which would give me my percentage. So now I can do the same as before, and we can copy it all the way down. Now as before, we can say that we want less decimal places, and there's a quick way to do that. There's a button up here which says give me less. Oh, hang on, there we go, pushing the wrong one. Give me less, so I want it out of 2 decimal places. All right, for a lot of you, percentages will be just perhaps a bridge too far, but there'll be others of you who are thinking, okay, you should bring on more. What else could we do? So don't feel too bad if you can't get this last bit to work properly, but it's worth having a look. We're going to assign a symbol, a letter, A, B, C, to the percentage. So if they get 80% or more, then it's an A. If they get 70% or more, it's a B, and so on. All right, so how do we do that? And again, we use our formulas. So you click in the cell where you would like the symbol to appear and put in the equal sign. And in this case, we're going to use an if statement. All right, if something is so, then it must do X. Otherwise, it must do Y. So here we're going to go if G4 is greater than or equal to, is greater than or equals to 80, we put in a comma, and then because we're going to put in a label, we're going to put in open inverted commas, A, close inverted commas, and now we have to put in the other condition. If it's not that, then what is it? So in this case, it would be, say, a B. All right, and then we can say close brackets. So now it's saying, okay, so 48.67 is not an A, therefore it must be a B, which is not actually correct at all. The logic is correct, but we need to provide some additional data. So let's look at that again. So now what we could do is we could put in a nested statement in there, and so we could say if G4 is equal to or greater than or equal to 80, give it an A, otherwise do the test again and then see if it is a B. Okay, to speed up a bit of time, I've now nested the if statements all together, so you get the full range. So you can now see it says if G4 is greater than or equal to 80, then it is an A. Otherwise, do it again. And if G4 is greater than or equal to 70, give it a B. Otherwise, do it again. And if G4 is greater than or equal to 60, then it is a C, and so on. And you can see then we've mapped the whole thing. So these are called nested if statements, and therefore once you've written it out once, remember to close all the brackets at the end, then we can then copy and paste this for the rest of the column. So at the moment you can see 48.6 is given it an E. So now if I just copy it down, I can see the symbols for each of the learners.